shake it, baby. Shake it, mama. Shake it, mama. Shake it, shake. Woo! Alright, let's turn that off. Grabs the popcorn. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot y'all need to hear the sound. So let's turn this up. Turn that up. Turn this up. Try to get a good seat. Alright, so here's how I see everybody says. Yeah, 0. Peace. Oh yeah, that would definitely help if I turned the sound on. Voice. Turn it up too.
Hello.
Sup.
See, I've been running this in session for like a hour and a half now, and just got away from a place where there were 100 avatars. So if I make it through this meeting without crashing, then the materials viewer is solid.
I feel like I'm sitting in this chair very stupidly. There we go. Sit like a lady.
Oh, it was a monthly all hands London meeting. Veer is probably trying to pry himself away from that at the moment.
Ew, Medhugh's here.
I mean, as fun as a company all hands can be, it's nice to see everybody's avatars. And
I've been gone for so long that Veer turned into a human.
He's a
What
real
happened
boy.
next?
Lord Jesus.
Hey, Benny, how's it going?
Great, actually.
I'm doing well, and yourself there?
We're doing good. You may get a little bit of a trickle of people coming in because we have a company meeting that everybody's at right now. Just unwinding. I was in an extremely busy region before this, and now everything's loading really weird. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe the region just
Why
looks
can't
weird.
I
I don't
spell
know.
today?
It's got a bunch of holiday content, doesn't it? Yeah, now it's starting to res in.
Y'all look, Veer's not a fish. He's a Freddie Mercury.
Alright, well, might as well go and get started. Let's see, big topics, usual stuff. Still a big push on materials. I'll let Dave talk about that in just a second. Another project we're in the process of getting started on just this month is support for thumbnails in inventory. We've talked about this a little bit. So there'll be some new inventory UI coming out that lets you view things more kind of graphically. You'll be able to, maybe have like a grid view or something like that that lets you see previews of your stuff rather than trying to sort it all out from images, from names. Early stages on that yet. There's nothing to show off, but we'll keep you posted as that comes along. Ryder, anything to say about server work?
Let's see. No, nothing I haven't brought up.
Oh, that one.
The link sound stuff should be live on a couple of the RCs. So you no longer you no longer require a script in that's disturbing. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you.
Ryder, for anybody who
God damn, my speakers.
hasn't heard about it already, what is the link sound stuff?
Essentially, it's a sound equivalent to say link particle systems. You can play a sound from a linked prim, as opposed to just the prim the script is running in.
That should be good. We got some sound store people in here, so sound improvements.
Yeah, I will actually take a look at that, like, right after this meeting.
Alright, all sounds good. Let's see, Dave, do you want to talk about where we are with materials?
Sure. So the project viewer just got updated last night, I think. And you should be seeing SSR. So thank you, Geens. Continuing to try to finalize that. Still need to fix the mixing of probes and tune the mixing of probes with SSR. I just found out yesterday that my monitor had the wrong gamma curve on it, which means I've been seeing much brighter irradiance than everybody else, so got to fix some color curves. Cosmic and Calibulg are working on, and Brad, they're all working on making sure that the message side of things is going to scale and not crash. And somebody alluded to it. We've got some stability issues on Intel. Hopefully those will get sorted out real soon. Just got an Intel laptop in the mail and found and fixed one, not crash, but hang there. And Dan pointed out that the performance in Immortal Beach got much, much worse, which led to a solid 2 weeks of profiling and optimizing, and now it's much, much better. And hopefully you'll see that in the next project viewer release. That's what's going on there. Oh, and there's some UI changes that we need to make for the reflection probes. People are not happy with, you check a box and all of a sudden your thing turns invisible and is a giant sphere, but it's also not okay to just keep what was there before, so we'll probably end up taking Yeah, I don't know. What is it going to be and where is it going to go?
So anybody wants to check this out, same story, they should check out the release notes and visit the supported regions of Aditi at this point.
Yep. I didn't know you did have to deselect the materials drop down to apply a material. That sounds like a focus bug.
I know this guy from somewhere.
Yeah, there's talk about renaming those. To make it more clear, because you're kind of choosing your shading model when you use that combo box. So materials is really the wrong thing for materials to be called. It should probably be like norm spec or blend fawn ish. Is probably what material should be called, and then GLTF PBR should be what the other one is called.
Yeah, that is kind of confusing. That's one of those overloaded terms.
I mean, we could just call it like legacy materials or something like that, since that's more or less what we have today, but maybe moving away from to some extent. Or at least it's not going to be getting updates.
Old and boring materials and new cool materials. How about that?
Yes, materials cool mode.
Materials don't use, and materials awesome sauce. Yeah, and as far as regular users needing to know how to use it, yes, but
Call him Dazzle.
yeah, that's another problem. Yeah, the UI the UI changing is always one of those things where it's like you rarely make friends when you change a UI that right on the Google search. So that's kind of the hallmark of a good label is if you Google it, do you get relevant results?
Mm.
So we talked about materials and PBR. What about GLTF? Is that a more widely recognized term for the new stuff?
Yeah, I like to expose the fact that it's GLTF in the UI where possible. Like build upload material should probably build upload GLTF material. Although you figure that out when the dialog pops up and it's filtering for GLTF and GLB.
I mean, I'm leaning more towards like we just go through and have the shading models there to decide like which model you want. It seems it would make more sense, easily Googleable, and we could just call like the PBR stuff just literally physically based or something.
The other thing is, even if we don't like the term legacy materials, we need some way for people to understand. And this is the thing you used to be using, and this is the new thing that we just added. If we just come up with two new names, then people are just going to be perplexed.
Another factor in the confusion is we have a materials folder, which is not going to work with materials in the edit tools.
As a person who
that's a good point.
Physics materials too.
Yeah, as a person who frequently works with stupid people, adding in legacy when there already is such a big company named Legacy is going to confuse the fudge out of people because they're going to think that we're going to be talking about Legacy the company and not Legacy the materials that you're referring to.
Materials Classic.
Same thing. They got that one too. They got Legacy. They got Classic. So if you say use the Classic
I
materials,
don't think you could find any word that people.
Yeah, but those are like
Yeah, I
two
don't
big
think
things.
any
With Second Life is Legacy
People would
and them.
recognize that isn't also the name of a.
There's not a company called PBR as far as I know. And that's something that they can Google and would take stress off of folk that got to teach them. So, what's the problem with using
There's a
it?
beer called PBR.
Yeah, but
I think
with
Beck
3D.
makes a good point that acronyms are kind of frustrating. But yeah, this is why I try not to get involved in naming conversations.
Yeah, but we could just break the mold this time around
Anyway,
and use
we'll,
a thing, you know? Like break the mold and use actual 3D terms for once.
So what's your recommendation that we do?
Use the proper term for what it is. If it's PBR, we say it's PBR.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, it's GLTF metallic roughness.
How about GIF materials? Sounds like it. Looks like it if you're dyslexic. GIF. Just a suggestion.
To me, it's a material. I mean, when you look it up in any 3D software, material is a material is a material, you know?
That's
but it's
true.
like
PBR or whatever else, you know?
but we're talking about the combo box and the build floater right now, and the texture tab, where one of the options is materials, another option is PBR, and another option is media. The
And what's
It's
wrong with
like
it?
Elizabeth.
at least one of those is wrong.
Oh, as long
It
as you
doesn't
don't
help
call
at
it
all that,
legacy, that's all. Anything but legacy, because that's gonna be hella confusing. Trust me.
Yeah,
It
it's not gonna be
doesn't-
legacy.
Yeah.
It's the existing long-lived, will live forever implementation of BlendFont.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's kind of like it doesn't help that like the current model is kind of pseudo physically based, but it came around during a time like when the industry was still trying to understand what physically based really meant. So, real weird stuff there. And there's like next to no actual like standards conventions around what we did. So.
Now standard. It exists.
Yeah.
Adopt them. Well, I'm gonna pick one and adopt it.
Couldn't you say
Ooh,
like,
advanced textures is good.
Specular versus roughness, metalness, something like that.
See, if we just keep doing this, we're gonna be doing this for like an hour. This is why I never get involved in gaming conversations.
Yeah, I think probably we'll just toss it out for other topics. Some discussions about what's next after materials, or whatever you want to call it, but we don't have any definite roadmap. There's a good chance that we're finally going to be working on switching over to Vulkan, which is a long-standing desire. OpenGL is obviously getting pretty long in the tooth these days. But switching to Vulkan is going to be a big project. Probably going to be doing more with the GLTF import. Of course, for the initial release, we're just doing the materials, but you can also do meshes and animations and all kind of cool stuff in GLTF. So if we could support those, then we'd really be cooking. So that's another possible area. But I'm going to watch this space. We'll continue to talk about it as we move things along. Ground textures, yeah, that's another one. We'd really like to make the terrain look nicer. This is, I mean, you can look around you now. It's just kind of blurry.
Yeah. What? Temple says OpenGL could do just about everything that Vulkan does, just slower. So the switch to Vulkan will be almost entirely a performance optimization, not a visual bump.
It'll make your CPU go burr even more efficiently.
Actually, the way I'm thinking about it, it'll make your CPU go idle. Just move every freaking thing to the GPU.
That is a fair point, yes.
Killing off old potato farmers like
Then you'll have
me.
more cycles available to run, I don't know, crypto mining in the background or something.
That isn't dead yet?
Yeah, I haven't been hearing as much about the wonders thereof recently.
I think I recall that one. Wasn't that the whole like hex tiling or something like that?
Yeah, I like the hex tiling one, especially what with how all these tabletop strategy games are getting back in style.
I mean, there's been some pretty cool advancements around trying to hide tiling and stuff like that in recent years. I know Unity Technologies was looking at some stuff around that as well for their game engine.
Yeah, we should switch everything to be turn-based and have people moving on a hex grid. Break things up a bit.
Answer Temple's comment about GLTF. GLTF is not Colada. It is, if you took Colada and then took everybody who feature creeped Colada, blew them out the airlock, and then recreated something that was designed for runtime use, and used JSON, then you'd get GLTF.
If you're going to
Not
be
to
switching
mention-
to this new format, does that mean that we're going to get new bones finally?
No.
Well, that's just dumb.
Well, I mean, not yet.
You want
Yeah.
more bones or different bones?
Both, or at least to change the behavior of how some bones work around the pelvis.
So this is a good conversation. More bones on the standard skeleton, or freeze the standard skeleton and support arbitrary skeletons, or both.
Hang on, my thing's froze. I think I'm about to crash. Hang on, crashing. Yeah, because like,
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, I need to answer Tapple's question. Yeah, Tapple, go play around with the GLTF sample viewer, or just go to Sketchfab. Like, every single thing that you see in Sketchfab can be exported to GLTF. It's a whole scene, textures, animations, and all. No audio, but all the visual stuff.
Yeah, Custom Skeletons does have like its own sort of can of worms there, but I mean, as long as we have a way to kind of wrangle them, probably not an awful idea.
Yeah, because my gig is about the whole pelvis area because that's just a mess. I'm trying to think of a good example I can give with this. Like the project we were doing once was with a centaur, and it's like, okay, well, you could use the back legs, the hind legs as well with your project. So you have your regular person upper body, like hands, arms, and then it goes down the pelt to the torso, and you got regular people torso. Then you got the front of the horse legs, which is the regular human legs. And then if you want to connect the back legs, you would say, okay, just use the hind legs. But the tail is the issue because the tail is connected to the pelvis that's up front with your human legs, and it doesn't really work so well with your hind legs. So that's why I'm saying with this new format, because I remember before when I had bought this up, they were like, nah, we're not messing with the skeleton since y'all already bringing in a new format. And I don't know, maybe that'd be a chance to poke around at that skeleton and that issue. The same thing I was having with just plain old dogs. Sorry.
Yeah. It's kind of two different problems. Really, where I think we'd go with importing animations with GLTF. Well, first step would be to just have the ability to import static meshes with the node graph on it, which is a skeleton. And then, maybe you have LSL APIs that can manipulate the node graph, like rotate a joint. But you don't have, like, skin weights or animations yet. And then look at, bringing in, just like, here's a canned mesh that plays an arbitrary animation or an arbitrary skeleton, but it's not really an avatar. And then once we've mastered all of that well enough, then you could look at conceivably integrating that stuff into our avatar ecosystem. But they're separate.
I broke the dude.
Like, I'd imagine once we get halfway there, then a lot of the question marks become more obvious. But right now, there are still a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I don't want to rehash stuff that we've talked about at roughly every other meeting since time immemorial, but there are policy issues with opening it up to arbitrary skeletons. It's not just a question of kind of getting the right design and doing something that has good properties. It's a question of kind of how does it affect the marketplace? Does it make things more confusing for people? We don't need to solve that here, and as I say, we've talked about it a zillion times. But it's also a factor. It's not a purely technical question.
Right, and what Polysale says, we do not want arbitrary skeletons for avatars. I'm thinking more like Animesh.
I mean, currently there's not a real sharp line between Animesh and Avatar. They're both using the same, the same scheme for rigged meshes and the same skeletons and the same animation format and so forth. I'm not sure what you mean by officially supporting attachments.
That's not what I'm talking about, Polysale. you know, when you're animating and stuff, there's that other skeleton inside there that everybody was like, it's the forbidden thing. Furries used to rig to it back in the day before Bento came along. Rigging and animating to those, that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of sort of, for people who are not following along, there's a few different kinds of joints in the skeleton. There's the regular bones, which is what we kind of originally were planning for people to rig to. And there's collision volumes, there's attachment points, and there's a fourth thing I'm not thinking of now. So then we had to figure out, well, okay, if we're trying to actually enforce the rules, what are the rules? And like, which things are you allowed to animate, which things are you allowed to rig to? And we settled on some scheme for it, and honestly, I don't even remember what it is now, but hopefully it's documented somewhere. This was all stuff that we were hammering on during the Bento project. Yeah, I'm pretty sure some of the stuff you're talking about actually does work today. If you try animating attachment points or rigging to attachment points, it may well work. Yeah, definitely there's a limitation with Animesh. I mean, the Animesh has the full skeleton, so the attachment points exist, but you can't actually attach things to them, so they don't work as attachment points.
You guys got any questions y'all want me to ask these chumps? Yeah, alright. Well, now I know. I guess I'll just try it out later. Thanks for correcting me.
Yep, definitely no date on hierarchy, but as Dave mentioned, if we're tackling GLTF, mesh import, then some kind of hierarchy scheme is probably a prerequisite for that, because that's, the stuff that we're bringing in has a tree structure to it, which we don't currently support.
As soon as they start going on to the questions, I'll do it. Not to be rude, but are we in the question section yet, or is it still on topic something?
Yeah, we don't really have a fixed topic anymore. We're just doing kind of general Q&A and discussion. People can toss out whatever they want.
Okay. Got a question from the people watching the stream.
Are there any
They're
features of GL?
Rude.
Sorry, I'm all the way in the UK, so there's a bit of a delay here.
Oh, sorry. All right, then. I retract my rudeness. Hang on real quick. All right, got a question from one of the people watching the stream. It's actually multiple people asking the same question repeatedly. Free mesh uploads with Premium Plus when?
Free mesh uploads with Premium Plus. don't know anything about that. Has anybody been talking about it, or is it just a proposal?
Probably both, but there's a tag on to that. If not, what's up with the fact that you're supposed to get free texture uploads when you're uploading? So what's any fix on that when you're uploading mesh with textures?
So you're saying that you can upload textures for free, but you can't upload the textures with meshes?
Right. When you try to upload the mesh with textures, you get charged out the wazoo.
It's a no. Or you get charged for the extra. You get charged for the extra textures. The
Hold on. Who's talking so I can focus the camera on you because all you're muffled. There you are. All right. Sorry, I couldn't hear a word you said. Everything was muffled. Can you repeat that, please?
I'll just start using my Peanuts teacher voice. That's a known bug. I've seen it come across, and that will be fixed in an upcoming mate.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I think, was it Ash has been waiting patiently?
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, were there any specific features of the GLTF file format that is definitely not going to be supported?
That's a good question. I can think of a couple that would be problematic. Things like being able to set the filter mode of textures and the sampler state. That can be that's something that we probably won't support. We might eventually support switching like the magnification filter to nearest, but we definitely wouldn't let people set the magnification filter to nearest because that's just performance death.
And does that also mean that being able to control the point of origin will actually be supported as well?
By point of origin, you mean like the node transform?
On Second Life, it would be like the center of the object, so where your crosshairs are usually aligned.
Right, so that gets into the node hierarchy thing. So GLTF does have a node hierarchy. So the way you do something like that is you'd have a node that has the object that you want to change its origin point on as a parent. So the pivot point itself is a node, and then the object that's rotating about the pivot point is a child of the pivot point. So that is exactly the kind of functionality that you get when you support node hierarchy.
Awesome, thank you. That answers what I wanted to know.
That kind of reminds me of the topic of pivot points in general. We've had a lot of discussions here about, hey, when are we going to get pivot points? This was accepted and so forth. And basically the answer is that we did some digging and wound up deciding that it was basically about as hard to do a real hierarchy as it was to do pivot points, and a real hierarchy is more useful. So it's
Anybody
it's
got any
kind
more
of,
questions?
it's kind of gotten pulled into this other project.
Yeah, like, the hierarchy would come in each node, which is a joint, essentially, or a pivot point. But in GLTF speak, it's a node. It has a name, and it has child nodes, and it has a mesh associated with it. All of those fields being optional, and then you have some way to say, take the node by that name and set its rotation, set its position, set its scale. The children go along for the ride. So, yay.
No,
So
we
in the-
build
So in
worlds.
the brainstorming,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll
and the
continue to
brainstorming
that.
has been going on. The thought is that link and link set is a concept that will stay and not change, and then you add a different concept to encapsulate the node hierarchy, something like group. Well, it's group is the noun and verb that you see show up in most other tools. You know, you select a bunch of objects, you group them. What that actually does is it creates a node that is a parent of all the objects that you had selected. So then when you select that group, you're actually selecting that parent node. Yes, we can absolutely call it group chat when we'll have an LSL call called LL group chat. And the first parameter will be a string called name. And yes, I'm being silly.
Yeah, sounds pretty intuitive.
So can I talk about the big prems now? Or big uploads now?
Isn't it two different topics? I mean, the size something is when you upload it isn't the size that's guaranteed to be forever, right? You can upload a small thing and
You can't. Yeah, no,
scale it up later, right?
No. It's still stuck between that damn 64 by 64 limit. Even if you
Well,
try
I know
to.
there's a 64 limit, but it's not specifically because of upload, right? That's just enforced globally for prims.
No. It stops you when you get in the upload too. It's like, nah. Ain't happening.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's a general limit that's, yeah.
No, it's not. I guess that means not important. Jesus. Trying to think of the best way to explain this as an example. You can upload something smaller until it hits that limit, which is intended. Yeah, that's not good at all, especially when you're trying to get things to be the proper scale. You can scale it down to Second Life stuff, but you can't make it bigger so that it is in the proper scale as where it has to be. It's either going to be too small or not here. I'm trying to upload worlds here, places, things, mostly buildings. And when I have something that is too big, either the size or distance or something like that, it tries to shrink it down. Now, that sucks behind because you're trying
Is this like a full region build?
I wouldn't say a full region build, but it could easily be one. It's just even something that can fit onto a parcel. It's like how can I say? All right, I'll give you an example of exactly the project that would happen. Don't upload work. Yeah, you see the problem with that is not everybody has the greatest of eyes. So it looks great in Blender and whatever, and then you try to put it here in Second Life, and it's like, nah, ain't happening. And then you got people like, just put it on cubes,
That's
but you
starting
can't
to-
put it on a cube because they're like pieces are too far apart.
Yeah, so you're getting into stuff like how do we manage large, complicated builds, and I totally get the desire to just be like, hey, I want to import the whole region at once.
I mean, I'm not saying to
Especially
bring in the
when
whole region
the
at once,
tools-
but
And SL. Well, yeah, but you know, like a significant chunk, all at once. Especially because the tools in SL for, how to say, like the classic problem of, hey, I built the castle and there's a bunch of sconces, and the sconces are all the same mesh, but I just found out that the mesh is broken, like has a bad triangle that I need to fix. Quick fix, done in 2 seconds in Blender. Now I have the option to either go through the whole castle and manually replace each one at a time, or just delete the whole castle and re-upload the whole thing. Yeah, that's a pain, and that's something that large imports would help address for sure. We are talking about the prospect of adding a scene explorer, kind of like the scene tree view, and once you have a tool like that, then you start seeing places where you can make things like, oh yeah, like all the sconces that reference this particular mesh asset that exist on this parcel. Let's just swap that mesh asset for this other one.
a lot of my questions keep breaking
There
this
are a
man.
lot of ways to break your upload
Yeah,
when
see,
you start getting to big uploads.
yeah, I did that. I broke it down into small parts that fit within the 64 limit. But if one thing stretched out to, like, let's say 69 or something like that, it shrinks the entire thing slightly enough to F up the whole alignment. So, that.
Yep, and there are all sorts of other things that go wrong when you take that limit off.
Hopefully it's something a little more
Like,
realistic,
and
like, oh, we're worried about people using it to crash or abuse. Because that was the long-running
it's
excuse.
not just that. It's like
Like
it's
one of
like
those big butted ass
the
babies.
interest list starts getting a little weird. So like you'll res the thing, and then you'll go to select it and take it to your inventory, but the interest list hasn't told you about a bunch of the smaller objects in there, so then they're just gone. And then you get into things like, oh well, it was accidentally overlapping somebody else's parcel, so then whatever was sticking out over that parcel, well, it's just gone too. So it's the kind of thing where we really need, like, what I was
That's
talking about with the scene view, where we can show you a list of everything the server knows about, whether or not it's sent it to the client, and then that gets into building out the tool set for managing those large, complicated builds in a way that's actually user-friendly, because just upping the limit, that's going to give people another way to shoot themselves in the foot. Yeah, Vulkan isn't going to change precision issues at all. I mean, really the only thing that non-developers will notice when we switch to Vulkan will be an increased frame rate. 64-bit won't either. That's not what 64-bit means. 64-bit means 64-bit memory addresses, and we've been 64-bit for a while. Yeah, we've been saying switch to Vulkan. Really means adding support for Vulkan. OpenGL support is going to stick around for a good long while.
Oh, that's good.
There might be some features that you don't get unless you have Vulkan. But we're not going to stop supporting OpenGL for a good long while. Yeah, non-ALM is already going away. I can't think of any features that would make content look drastically different that you wouldn't get with OpenGL. I'm thinking about like Vulkan specific things might be things like certain post effects or tone mapping, things like that.
Anybody got any more questions? We got like 5 minutes left.
Non-ALM meant it was using a forward renderer instead of a deferred renderer.
And for a bit of context as far as what a forward renderer versus a deferred renderer means, deferred renderer means you can have lots of lights. Forward renderer means you can have a few lights.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, the other thing with Vulkan is it gets more into getting away from GPU resources being tied to concepts like you can only have one draw call per. Sorry, you can only have like one vertex buffer per draw call. You have to like bind a texture before you can render from it. When you get into Vulkan, those are resources that you can kind of, the shader can just sort of reach out and grab as needed. So it's not just about going wide on the CPU, it's about being able to structure the data in such a way where you don't even need all those draw calls. Because right now, Second Life is extremely CPU bound on if you have a fast GPU, and the CPU is spending all of that time trying to send commands to the graphics card as fast as possible. Right, so right now we do a lot of stuff in code to try to optimize for batch building. It's still a little important with Vulkan, but not nearly as important. And so like batch building would be one draw call to draw your entire avatar as opposed to 40. You still end up with one API call, so it's technically batching, but the things that you can do downstream are more you have more options available for how you reference the data downstream. It is not planned to implement second UV channels, but you can have an ambient occlusion texture that uses the same UV as your metallic roughness. Yeah, it's baked into the red channel of the metallic roughness texture in the GLTF material. You shouldn't have to know that. It should just, like if you upload a GLTF material that has an occlusion map, it should just end up getting packed for you.
Hey folks, we are right about time, so if anybody needs to run off, they can. If you want to stick around, that's fine too, and in that case, we'll see you next time.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Nice seeing you all again.
Yeah, thanks folks. Good talk. I'm very excited for 2023. It's gonna be a good year.
See you guys.
Yeah, I'll usually stay for the after party. I forgot to ask about would this new format allow us to have double sides? Well. Yay!
Yeah, GLTF should support that.
Oh, why? What's wrong with it? I wasn't able to get the thing up and running properly. Oh, fudge. That's awful. That's terrible. Yeah, I did. I was one of the main people screaming for that. Ah, Laura. I think the only thing that's like relevant to what I'm feeling in my chest now for that is the scream of an Australian man. Well, I was thinking about hair. That was my gig. Was being able to do double-sided with card stuff. But, you know, I'm looking at, you know, other hair. Yeah, monkey's paw. Here we are. You know, I was looking at some other designer hair, and it was made with cards, and somehow they still managed to make it $250K with flat hair. And I'm like, how the hell does that happen? I thought that the construed curve or something would make it heavier, but this old school hair is lighter than the new school stuff that these kids like. So fuck, imagine that with double-sided rendering. It's way too much. But that's all that's what's all the rage these days. All those fancy like curvy hair, the hair made with flat cards and stuff. $250K. That's like the standard. Sorry, I'm sucking on miso. I need a salt fix. Oh, sorry. Stream. My double-sided mesh is gonna be four-sided. The universe is gonna explode. You know, that happened in Adventure Time when you try to go 4D. The standard is a substandard practice, and I don't like it. I tried my best to try to enforce and try to preach for that, and I'm like sitting here wondering, like, okay, didn't you guys open up a creation school? Shouldn't rule number 1 be optimization at some point? Like, what the F, Second Life? Make one of those funny little clips telling people about how they're wearing 20 avatars worth of hair. I've seen a few, but ain't a lot. I'm so happy to see that you're still around, Medhue. You're like pretty much the last one on the list.
I still like coming to the meetings. So if they bring VR in, I'll be in here all the time.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Cause don't they have to upgrade to like Unreal or something to do VR?
Well, they could do it now. You know, the thing is, in any kind of user-created world, they're unoptimized, and that's why I would suggest, like, making specific places for VR, like VR Land or something, and say, these are the criteria for this land, you know? You could do it in Second Life.
That makes sense. But that makes sense, so they're not gonna do it.
Now, 6 months ago, you couldn't do it because we didn't have the frame rates, but now we kind of do.
Yeah, that's true. Especially when you got people who are going to Daz and taking props and jazz for that and bringing it in here without doing any kind of decimation. That's shit. Or watching the tutorials meant for the program that they're using to make XYZ that's meant for rendering and bringing it in here. Yeah, I mean, MD I love. And, you know, yeah, it's high as hell, but with a little decimation and an insta retopology, still good. It's just that the people who are watching it are watching the tutorials that people create for rendering products or scenes and stuff out for, like, 3D jazz that ain't Second Life. And they're turning their PD down to, like, 5 and 2. That's silly.
It's funny right now, I'm working on rendering like video, so doesn't matter what the geometry is, doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, that's
As long as
fine.
Unreal can handle it, I'm fine.
That's fine. That's like totally fine. Exactly fine. It's just that people are watching those same tutorials they learn that from and thinking it applies to Second Life and it don't. Like, I had to explain that to some guy recently, and he says, I'm like, what's your PD on that shirt, that vest? And he's like, 5, 2. He had like 5 on the vest and then 1 on the piping. And I was like, what are you doing? Why? And he's like, well, the tutorial I watched said that, you know, you want as many triangles as you can. And I'm like, no, that doesn't apply to Second Life. That doesn't apply to Second Life. Stop it. I just wish that as many years as we had spent griping about this, and I know that they said that they're not going to limit people, they could at least do, you know, one of those, what do you call those, PSAs? Especially one of those funny Machinima PSAs about that kind of thing. Like, did you know that when you wear a garment that has 120 triangles, you're wearing the equivalency of 20 retro roofs? That's a whole sim worth of characters in just one garment. Actually, that's 16 roofs, because roof is like 9 triangles. 9K. Yeah, but it would be fun if the information was there and not just from one person. And then the misconception that I got here that people say the higher the quality, the more triangles, triangles, the higher the quality. And if they make it over a certain amount of triangles, then it can't be stolen. You know, that shit. It's not true, but yeah, I know Roof is like outdated, but so is Second Life, and some Sims are only programmed to handle 20 roofs. So you're like, your hair alone is a Sim's worth of roof.
What if there was a world like Second Life that you couldn't just put anything on the marketplace? What if they had to approve it all?
That would be
Like
absolutely
on
terrible.
Unreal Engine on their marketplace, they have to approve every single product that goes on there.
That's absolutely
And
horrible.
then there's good things to it. I mean, everything you buy on Unreal Engine's marketplace is going to be something good and will work for sure. But there are bad aspects to it.
Yeah, that's gonna suck ass. Cha 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 cha. Hear any good gossip lately? You know, besides Link closing. I feel like I got the. I'm gonna quote a gif. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me. Yeah, get out of here. Anybody got that Ricky Bobby gif that could go in here? Because that's what I feel like Elon Musk buying Second Life. Good Lord. It'd be full of even more free speech. Yeah, the lenders are gonna be unemployed if Musk buys it. Yeah, man, I don't think Facebook would ever do it. They can't even handle the sexual assault claims, sexual harassment claims that they get with Meta. Can you imagine the complaints that would come in if normal people were experiencing the culture that is Second Life? That'd be funny. See you later. Yo, Lucia, you into Idolmaster? Shit, he signed off. Yes, that. I am shocked. Nah, nothing. You're not a fan. Won't matter to you. Ooh. Oh. I met a new friend and finally figured out how to rip and translate all the animations into Second Life. It's a pain in the ass, though. So many dances. But I think it would be a fun project. Yeah, season 2 was okay. But once it goes into like the Cinderella girls, I checked out. I like the classic idol girls. I don't like the whole Cinderella and Shiny Festa, whatever the hell it is. It's the same thing with Love Live. Like, I like the first season and a bit of the second season. And then they're like, here's coming up with third season, and then it's just a whole new group of girls. And like, these aren't the idols that I like. Right, it was good. Pretty much, yeah. Same thing. Then I fell off the idol train too, but the original Idolmaster is forever in my heart. So I was like super excited as I found somebody who actually knew about the animations. It's like, it's gonna be a super flood of animations. Got Idolmaster, got Mortal Kombat, got Bayonetta. Those are in there, but the way the extraction thing is, it's just so tedious. And everything is in PMD already. So for me to use it, it's like, oh, it's in there. Like the program, I guess, is already converted into PMD, or that, or they just using PMD already and not MMD format. Well, you know, they did just update the dev kit for the kimono, so it might be easier to do that. I gotta get it though. I haven't got it yet. Shut the front door. The whole body? Dang. I'm sorry. I mean, that kind of makes sense given that so many people are hopping ship. Yeah, I heard. I kept bugging him to put out that chubby one that he had before. He's like, maybe. I'll think about it. it just hasn't aged well. I'm like, give me that fat lady. I'm too lazy to do a chubby anime lady myself. Oh, it's a Kenko leaf. I'm not touching it till the baby is around. It's gonna be a long time. 20. Well, I gotta start on all the popular animes. Like, my sister is really pushing me to watch Demon Slayer. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for it to end because I've been burnt. Like, I can't do ongoing series. I have no patience for it. I'm barely making it week by week with One Piece. And that's been going on forever, so. Yeah, she's really on me about that one. Like, you gotta watch Demon Slayer. It's the best anime ever. And I'm like, okay. And then, you know, my nephews want me to watch My Hero Academia. And I'm like, okay, sure. And they're like, you still haven't watched Attack on Titan yet. And I was waiting for it to end. I think it ended, right? So I can watch it now. It didn't end? It's still going. Well, I'm still free. Oh, okay. Then I'll watch it then. Because I was like that with Naruto. Because I was like, I'm not watching Naruto until it's over. And I said that when it first came out. And then they were like, hey, guess what? Naruto's over. Go watch it. It's like, hot diggity. I get like 3 or so episodes in, and they're like, hey, they coming out with another one. It's called Boruto. And it's going to continue in Naruto. And I'm like, well, now I got to wait for that to end. I'm easy. I can watch anything but idol animes now. Like, I can't do that no more. They become like increasingly annoying. Especially when they give them a catchphrase, an annoying catchphrase. Like, oh, that's it. Turn it off. Oh, yeah, that's true. Although, after experiencing Overlord, I don't think I can tolerate any more isekai. Wait, no, my husband started watching one about a pro wrestler. And I'm like, the gag they keep doing over and over again. It's like, at this point, it's a take a drink every time he suplexes somebody. Like, every time we get a crotch shot in the air or a butt in the air, we take a drink. I'm still doing what? I forgot what it was called. But that was his gag. Like, he suplex. I think it's like you grab somebody by the waist and you crouch down behind them and you arc your body backwards, slamming them into a mat. It's a German suplex, right? Well, that's what he kept doing. He did it once to one girl, and then he does it to every other girl. Like, he just keeps attacking everybody, but mostly women. And then their butts and stuff are just in the air. And that's the whole show. Like, somebody says something that he doesn't like, he goes and he suplexes them and their butt is in the air. And I'm like, alright, come on. Now, that was a good anime. I actually liked it. It was kind of pervy, but it had a story and character development, and I liked it. Like the girl that couldn't take the what was that? The leg lock thingy. She kept crying. She was an idol, and became a wrestler. That one. Oh, well, that was a good one. I don't know what that one is called, but that was a good one. Oh, sorry. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you later, Gator. Well, that's it for the stream, I guess. Everybody's gone except for me. Don't want to be the lame one sitting around talking to NPCs. Although I think they go when she goes. Yeah, well. So see you guys in the Discord. Thanks for watching.